Medusa, the curse of the serpent-haired monster. There are names in Greek mythology sung as eternal lights of glory. But there are also names that linger like endless shadows. Among them, none is more haunting than Medusa, the serpent-haired monster whose gaze alone could turn mortals into stone. Yet behind that terrifying visage lies a tragic tale, a cry for justice buried in the darkness of myth. Long ago, Medusa was no monster. She was a maiden of breathtaking beauty, her face radiant as dawn, her hair flowing like rivers of silk, her eyes clear as morning dew. Medusa served as a priestess in the temple of Athena, dedicating her life to purity and sacred devotion. People admired her not only for her unmatched beauty, but also for the innocence that shone from her soul. But that very beauty became the seed of her downfall. Poseidon, the mighty god of the seas, driven by desire and arrogance, cast his gaze upon her. One fateful night, within the sacred pillars of Athena's temple, Medusa was violated. Her cries of despair echoed through the holy halls, only to vanish into the cold silence of the gods. Athena, goddess of wisdom, symbol of justice, learned of what had happened. Yet she did not punish Poseidon. Instead, her wrath descended upon Medusa. In an instant, the maiden's radiant beauty was twisted into horror. Her flowing hair turned into writhing serpents. Her smooth skin hardened into cold scales, her gentle eyes became deadly chasms. A single glance could petrify any who dared meet her gaze. From priestess to outcast, Medusa was condemned to become a gorgon, a monster of the night. Cast away, shunned, she hid among desolate caves. Listening to the hiss of serpents where once there had been songs, staring into pools of water, only to see a distorted reflection of a creature even she could not recognize. Medusa she hated Poseidon, she hated Athena, she hated the world that had abandoned her. But hatred could not fill the void of loneliness. Every creature that strayed too near was turned to stone, not by her will, but by the curse forced upon her. And so, around her lay a silent graveyard of statues, eternal companions carved by tragedy. Yet the gods never allowed her torment to fade into silence. They chose a hero, Perseus. Armed with Athena's gleaming shield, Hermes' winged sandals, and the sharp sword of Hephaestus, he was sent to claim the head of Medusa. On a night heavy with dread, Perseus entered the lair. The wind howled through jagged rocks. The pale moonlight traced a path into the darkness. The hiss of serpents echoed in the cavern, mingling with each cautious step. Perseus dared not look directly at her, keeping his eyes only on the reflection in his polished shield. Medusa emerged, her serpent hair striking out like 100 living spears. She screamed, a cry not of maidenly sorrow, but of monstrous fury, tearing through the night sky. And in that fleeting moment, Perseus swung his blade. Steel flashed, and then the head fell. Medusa's eyes remained wide open, her petrifying gaze still burning even in death. blood poured forth. But from that wound, a miracle burst forth. A winged white horse, Pegasus, soared into the heavens, born from her shattered fate like light rising from the deepest dark. Perseus carried Medusa's head as a trophy. Yet within those eyes, severed from her body, the sorrow remained as if forever frozen. That gaze held not only hatred, but the endless grief of a soul cast into despair by the cruelty of gods. Medusa was dead. But the question of justice endures. Was she truly a monster, or merely a victim? For over 2,000 years, humanity has remembered Medusa. To some, she is a symbol of destruction. But to others, she is the echo of injustice, a reminder of divine cruelty that even death cannot erase. And perhaps what makes Medusa eternal is not the serpents in her hair, nor the petrifying power of her eyes, but the tragedy of a soul that could never be freed. In Medusa's final gaze lies a sorrow more haunting than death itself.